Hello, welcome to Novel Console, your weekly podcast where we talk about books, games, food, and stuff that caught our attention during the week. My name is Chris, and with me is my sick wife, Karradyne.
Thanks.
You're feeling very sick, aren't you?
Well, to say the least.
You feel awful.
I feel like shit.
Yeah.
I feel like shittier than I ever have in my life.
And weird part is that it's not COVID.
Well, according to the at-home test, it's not COVID. I went and got a legit COVID test this morning, but there are no rapid tests available within like 100 miles. So I got to wait 1 to 2 days to figure out if it is legit COVID.
Well, hopefully it's not. Well,
Yeah.
Anyways, today we have somebody very special joining us. I am a huge fan of this dude. I follow him on TikTok. He is an amazing drummer, and he has a very fun podcast. Today we have Shane Wise from WiseDrums joining us. How are you doing today, Shane?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. It's so nice to do other people's podcasts because of my podcast. I'm on the other end and I have to worry about like the layout and the hosting and everything like that.
Yeah.
This is fun because I just get to sit here and talk and have fun. You do.
Exactly.
You guys get to do all the work.
Yes.
Well, basically just me, because Karradyne just does.
Yeah, I don't do anything.
She does the
I make
social
the
media
graphics.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah,
The
just the
graphics are great.
pictures.
Thanks.
So yeah, she does the pictures. I do the editing, the contacting people, the setting
Literally
updates,
everything else.
Yeah.
It's
But it's
hard
fun.
work, man. I mean, it is fun, but it's like there's a lot that goes into it, especially if you're doing a video podcast, when you're doing like, the editing and the editing itself. It's like, God, can I get someone to do this for me? Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it with videos. We just do straight up audio, and sometimes I'm going crazy, just like, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound right, and they just keep editing and editing.
I've gotten to the point now where I don't care anymore. And so like when I first started the podcast, I was so meticulous and just like, it was editing everything and making sure the light was right and everything like that. And just now, like, whatever, how many years later, I'm just kind of like, all right, you know what, it works, just whatever, just record it. It's 3 hours long. I don't care. Just upload it. It takes like 27 hours to export. It's just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Luckily for us, we just do audio. The worst thing we do with the video is just upload it to YouTube, because we just used whatever program the computer comes pre-installed with.
Mhm.
So it's like Windows Movie Maker version 1.0, and we just let it like render really quick, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all you need. That's actually how I started. My originally was, I didn't have a full video. It was actually just, it was the full podcast was like a podcast. It was like audio, and then I would pull clips from actual like cameras and stuff like that. But now ever since the pandemic, I've been just doing everything via Zoom, and gotta tell you, it's actually a hell of a lot easier to deal with than using like 2 different cameras and editing and stuff. Yeah. So I'm kind of thankful for that in that respect, but I could do without the pandemic.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, we have a buddy that we had on not too long ago. His name's Danny from the Big DK Energy podcast, and we recorded an episode with him, and he has 2 cameras set up plus his microphone set up, and he made it so that his entire setup is portable, so he can record a podcast from wherever he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to re-record the opening. What was it? We recorded it twice, right?
Yeah, we recorded like half an hour and then realized the camera wasn't working.
Yeah, the camera went completely
Yeah,
out.
I'm telling you, the extra equipment, they have more chances to go wrong. Like, I think eventually when I start doing the in-person podcast stuff again, because I'm thinking about doing that, like bringing some friends who actually live here in Nashville back over to my house, and then we'll sit down and actually have a conversation face-to-face, live in person. I think I'm going to go back to the 1 camera, because 2 cameras, that's a lot can go wrong with that extra camera.
Yeah, you definitely can, man. Just keeping an eye on 2 things at the same time while you're trying to
I
talk.
was stressed out just looking at it and watching him run back and forth between both of them. Like, this is a lot.
Yeah, because he kept jumping up and looking, and and we're just looking at him like, is everything okay?
Dude, it's that part's not the fun part, unless you're really into like, because I know friends who are, that's what they do, that's their living, because they love editing and they love movies and they love all that stuff. I'm not from that tree, So like, you know, that stuff is hard for me. So to do more of the extra hard stuff, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I man, when we started, we had two separate, what was it, notebooks? What were those computers? Chromebooks?
Google, they're not Chromebooks. They're similar to Chromebooks. They're tablets with keyboards,
Yeah, so
basically.
we started recording it there on the program for recording audio on it. So we would record on both. Then I would take everything to Audacity, try to sync it up, and then edit it at the same time. And sometimes it would take me like 6 or 7 hours just to get an hour episode out.
Oh man.
And I just kept looking on how to streamline it. And then I figured out I could put 2 microphones on Audacity. I just need a bunch of USB ports.
Yeah.
So at least we managed to make it work easier.
Yeah.
It's much better now. We've upgraded.
Yeah. So Shane, we got a couple of questions. The first one is, do you read books?
I actually do not read books. I play video games, so I don't have to read books.
You're breaking my heart.
Well, it's because like I'm not diagnosed by, because ADD is like something that everyone says that they have, and you know, did you go to a doctor? Are you actually diagnosed ADD? But I'm pretty positive I have something with attention. So like whenever I'm reading like a book, at least I learned this in school anyway, I would read, and as I'm reading the words, but I'm not intaking the information.
Right.
And there's just something with that format that never spoke to me, like reading, but video games did. Video games always spoke to me because I'm experiencing the adventure that way, like through like, you know, my fingers, you know, like I'm affecting the story somehow, some way. And then through books, I just never got that. Some people do. They can just fly into an imaginary world and just, you know, dive in. My wife is just, she can read a book like it's like 700 pages and in like a week, like a day. Like it's just, she reads so fast because she is able to read books that way. I just can never do it. I can never do it. I think the last book I read was some medieval fantasy book for like 4th grade or something.
Oh,
like that.
God.
Wow. Damn. So you never messed around with the build your own adventure books? Those never clicked or anything for you?
Okay, Goosebumps. I read a few Goosebumps. I read a few Goosebumps books. But yeah, I did the choose your adventure like a couple times, but I would end up just like cheating, you know? Like,
yeah, it's hard.
Go down this path. No, I shouldn't go. Nope, I didn't take my finger off the page. I didn't take my finger off the page.
Wait, Karen, does that count? Not taking your finger off the page?
No.
So you actually answered the second question that we got for you is, do you play video games? So you do, especially if they seen your TikToks or gone to your live streams, which are a ton of fun. You play music, video game music. Mm-hmm. Tell me, what's your favorite video game?
My favorite video game, I could say, I think the video game that affected me the most out of all the games that I've played, I think I'd have to say Chrono Trigger. And as far like, because that was the first time I ever experienced a story, like an actual true story. And it would just like, I was able to experience an adventure that way. A lot of people feel like Legend of Zelda is that game for them, but with Legend of Zelda, there's not a whole lot of text, and there's a lot of room for, you know, what the character is thinking. What is Link thinking while he's running around Hyrule, you know? But with Chrono Trigger, it was the first time I was reading and paying attention to the story, and the story was really compelling, and it was my first role-playing game. And ever since I played that game, I almost exclusively play role-playing games ever since that point. And it was just one of the best, if not like the best game that I ever played. I just remember it actually, funny story. When I rented it from it was like this old video store. It wasn't Blockbuster. It was like Video Right or something, like those old mom and pop video stores in Las Vegas. And I rented it. And when you rent those games, it's obviously other people's playthroughs. And so I started unknowingly what this was. I started New Game Plus. And so with New Game Plus, you get all the equipment, you're level 99, and you just fly past everybody. And I thought that's what RPGs was for the longest time.
Oh, boy.
Fast forward like a month later when I actually wanted to buy the game, or it was Christmas and I got it or something, and I put it in, and I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm just getting like my ass. And here I'm like, I can't remember how old, 10, 8. I can't remember how old I was. I'm weeping. I'm weak because I cannot for the life of me understand why this game is so much different than the one I rented. And then I guess I went and I figured out somehow what leveling up was. Like, oh, I need to beat all these smaller dudes and gain experience points. Oh, okay. And then I get stronger. And then I also fell in love with that sort of mechanic, because with the RPG, what RPGs did was it gave people who weren't exactly the best at video games an opportunity to beat the game just by hard work and dedication, and be like, okay, I need to just level up my character. And then, by some point, I'm going to mow through these motherfuckers and just, just be the hero that I've always dreamt to be, that kind of thing. And yeah, I really experienced what video games were when I played Chrono Trigger.
Okay. I can respect that. I played that game for the first time this year. I had dabbled in it before, but this is like the first time where I just like sat down and went through it, because we do this thing called the Backlog of Doom, where our patrons vote for a video game and a book for us to review in an episode. And I decided to just write down everything that happens in the story of importance and tell Karradyne the story of Chrono Trigger.
Fuck my life.
Part of that is because I'm not a good storyteller.
No, it's okay, but yeah, you told it so literally. You're not one to do like a good campfire story, like dramatizing it. It was just bullet point after bullet point.
All right, so
yeah.
So this happened, and then after that this happened, and then after that this happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
It's good. You're making sure that you get all the important
He covered
information.
all the important things, yes. But
yeah, the only thing she
man.
remembers is probably the reptites.
I remember the frog.
Frog?
Yeah.
The frog?
Yeah.
Good old honorable frog.
Yep.
Yes. And the reptite things, whatever they were.
Reptites. And then anytime you're dealing with time travel, it's like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, that was confusing.
Yeah, having to keep jumping back and forth and having to specify the queen of the past instead of the queen of the future or the present.
And I had to read a book about playing the game. And that was one of the most miserable experiences of my life, too. Yeah. The things you do for love and podcasts.
I agree. Yes, I concur wholeheartedly.
Chrono Trigger, that was a really good game. I really enjoyed it.
I'm fascinated. Yeah, I'm fascinated because my experience with it was because I was a kid, and I didn't have too much experience at that time with games, and I grew up with games since then. So I really find it fascinating people who have played a game it's like a 25-year-old game for the first time now, because it, when you have all this modern development to compete with such an old game, like, does it still, stand the test of time?
I'm going to be honest with you. It does. It does. It absolutely does. It is fantastic. It was like, particularly the art style, because it's Akira Toriyama. It was a dopamine bomb, basically. I absolutely loved everything. Even the parts that I hated, I liked. And mostly the parts that I hated were, oh, this enemy just does like a one-hit kill, and I had to repeat like this stage a couple of times just to get over it. But other than that, wow. recently I've just been playing a lot of old games. A couple of weeks ago, I finished KOTOR for the first time ever.
Oh yeah.
And holy shit, what a game.
Oh, dude, man, Knights of the Republic games 1 and 2, like some people didn't like 2, but like I thought 2 was better than 1 as far as like the way that the story evolved from the first game. And they took risks, but still kept it, they didn't take so much risk that it completely alienated itself from the first game and what made the first game so great. Yeah, dude, Knights of the Republic is, when I first played it and that twist ending, and I'm just like, this is what freaking Star Wars is all about. But it's a completely new story. It has nothing to do with the original trilogy. It's it's a prequel of thousands of years before all this, and it's just like you experience Star Wars almost again anew when you play Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, it kind of felt like when I was a kid and I was playing Shadows of the Empire on the 64. Like it's just the story about these people that I don't know set in this universe that I'm interested in, and it is just plain old good storytelling, especially because it's done by BioWare. I mean, in its prime when they were doing just batshit great games.
Oh yeah, there was a time where BioWare, I had a blog back in the early 2000s. I had a blog because everyone had a blog. Like I said, I remember this because I still, well, not I still, I don't think of it this way, but like I said that BioWare is becoming the new Squaresoft, because they were making game after game after game, not just with, they came out with KOTOR, and then they came out with Mass Effect, which is okay, amazing. And then they came out with Dragon Age, and all three of those franchises were just, massive hits.
Did you ever get to mess around with Jade Empire?
Oh yes. Oh God. I totally forgot about Jade Empire. Dude, I'm so upset that they never were able to create a sequel to that game. I think that Jade Empire is one of the funnest games, in the same vein as KOTOR, but the combat was action oriented, and and that's like, it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant.
See, when I first played Jade Empire, I was doing martial arts, so I used to do Taekwondo, and when I started the game, I was like, okay, I want a fighting style that's just kicks, and I saw the one that's called like 1,000 Fists.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's awesome. And I just stuck with that one. And
dude, yeah.
I wanted to do another playthrough, but the guy that lent me the game was like, oh, I need it. And I didn't get to do another playthrough. But I really, really like that game. I would love for it to get ported to current gen so that I don't have to sit at the computer and play it.
Well, they are remaking it. Yeah. They are remaking Knights of the Republic. Yeah. It was officially announced like, I think 6 months ago or something. So like, and, I can't wait to play that one again. I played it like a million times, so I'll play it again. I don't care.
So they announced this week that the second one, KOTOR 2, is coming to Switch on the 8th. So I'm kind of excited for that.
Ooh,
but I think I'm probably
fun.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna have to wait a year to play it again until next year's Star Wars month. So I'm kind of sad about that. So let's continue on with the questions. Third question: do you eat food?
Oh my God.
I don't. No. What is food? No. Yes, I am a very big advocate of food, and not a lot of people talk about the importance of food and how you need it to live. And but my favorite food, I have to say pizza. I gotta say pizza. I can't. It's
stereotypical.
It's so stereotypical. It really is. And you'd think like after 37 years of life that I've lived on the planet, and that I've experienced sushi, I've experienced steak, I've experienced great fried vegetables, whatever. Like just I always go back to pizza. It's just like, it's like if you're having a bad day and you're just like, you don't feel like cooking. You're like, God damn, I just want to order pizza. I'm going to order a giant friggin' pizza, and I'm going to eat this entire thing and eat my feelings. Or you have a party. What's the best
Pizza!
Pizza. Like it's just
cheap and easy. Yeah.
It's cheap and easy. Like, and it can be gourmet if you will go to some mom and pop places out where you live and you're like, ooh, this is fancy. I like this. This, you can't really go wrong with pizza.
No. Okay. Since it's pizza, what's your favorite topping?
Ooh, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm a big advocate of the 3 meat.
Okay.
I want,
right.
So like, I know that's kind of cheating because it's not like a topping, but I feel like all of those combined, like the meat, like if you give me the most meat on a pizza, I'm there.
Okay. All right. See, I'm not a big fan of bacon on pizza because not everybody knows how to put bacon on pizza. Just like pineapple on pizza. I'm not a fan of pineapple on pizza.
Thank you.
Not everybody knows how to put pineapple on pizza.
I say it's sacrilege.
I mean,
fruit does not belong on pizza. Okay. I will die on this hill.
I was on that camp until recently. I actually had called, I think, like a Pacific Rim from Mellow Mushroom. Mellow Mushroom's crust is absolute trash. The crust is awful. But the way that
that's where they need to put the fruit on the crust.
They just need to throw the crust out and just buy it at the store or something. So that it's like a Hawaiian pizza. It's got like hams, jalapenos, and everything. And it's like they cook everything. And then after everything's cooked, they put pineapple on it that's not wet. So it's not soggy. It still has like a nice pineapple bite. And it's not overly sweet. So it works with everything.
Okay. I can get on board with that.
So imagine if the crust being shit still makes the pizza taste good, that there is a possibility for pineapple to actually be good on pizza.
All right. Okay. I can be open-minded. I can be open-minded. I always say, but with food, man, like I am so not adventurous when it comes to food. When someone says, hey, try this, I'm like, no, I don't want to try that. I don't. But you like it. It's like, how do you know? What if I hate it? What if it gives me trauma? What if I won't be able to sleep at night because you're giving me octopus?
See, I love octopus, especially when you get like the end of the legs and they're a little bit charred and crispy. Oh my god, it's so good.
I mean, I don't mind calamari.
I love fried calamari. It's so good. With
it's
some
delicious.
Sweet Thai chili sauce. Oh my god. Karradyne, why are you shaking your head?
I'm dying. I'm thinking about the textures in my head and it's freaking me out. I think about those little suction cups. Oh,
oh, when you bite one and it pops in your mouth just right.
I can't do it.
It's so good.
I don't understand. I people either love or hate this one. Oysters.
I haven't
never tried them.
Yeah, I haven't tried them because I'm allergic to shellfish, so I don't know if an oyster will kill me.
Well, that's a good reason.
Yeah, but I was looking at a video the other day on how to cook the perfect scallop, chucking the oyster and everything. I'm like, that actually looks really fucking good.
No.
And I was thinking, should I go get allergy tested again just to make sure that I am indeed allergic to all this shit to see if I can actually try
They
it?
say your allergies change every 7 years or something like that. I don't know who said that. Maybe that's bro science.
It could be. But shit,
like
I'm not against getting tested. Maybe I should go do that whenever I have medical insurance.
It's incredibly expensive. It doesn't matter if you have insurance. It is expensive as fuck.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just buy an EpiPen because it's easier and cheaper.
EpiPens are not cheap. Oh my god.
They're like $700 now.
Yeah, they're really expensive.
Man.
Everything's expensive. Just live with the shellfish allergy. It's fine.
Just have Benadryl with you at all times.
And end up wasted from Benadryl. So at this time, we usually have a segment that Karradyne loves and hates and our listeners love. It's called the Sex Toy of the Week. We have a sex toy that was sent in by Burger Champ, but
it's a Star Wars themed sex
no, it's
toy?
not. It's not Star Wars themed, and it's not a toy. It's more like a kit. But before we get into that,
Okay.
Let me send the link over to Wise. And Wise actually does have a story that he said he wanted to share with us.
Oh, yeah, I do.
So, okay. So, yeah, let's go into this first, and then we'll go to the story.
Okay.
All right. So, this is called the B Deals 8-piece set Heger uterine dilator with a carrying case.
What?
You see that, Karradyne?
A uterine dilator?
Yes.
Why?
It's on special right now for 61% off.
What does one do with this?
Well, we'll get to it in a second.
Oh,
It's 1954 at this moment.
that's a good price.
That's actually a good price.
I mean, the only thing
I
that
don't know what it does.
You get so many different sizes. At least they have that in mind, you know?
Those are lots of tools. Yeah.
They all kind of look like straws.
Yeah.
That's weird.
They look like nope ropes.
Nope ropes?
Yeah.
What's a nope rope?
Snake.
I'm gonna gross you all out right now. They look more like worms.
Oh.
They do kind of look like, yeah.
Okay, what do you do with these worms?
Okay, so let's see. It doesn't say anywhere. It just says, okay, let's see here, customer questions and answers. This is a question.
It's under. This is where it's under. It's under professional medical supplies.
Oh God.
Okay, interesting. So the first question, I've been reading reviews, but still not understanding what exactly these are for. Help, please. The answer you seek is in the name. They are uterine dilators, i.e. intended for women who can't have or who have experienced painful penetrative intercourse.
Penetrative.
Exactly. Intercourse because of strong musculature with constricted vaginal opening.
Vaginal.
Okay. Uterine of relating to or in the region of the uterus. The uterus or womb is a major female hormone responsive secondary sex organ of the reproductive system in humans.
I think this person they need to dumb this language down a bit.
Yes,
I'm so confused. I feel like I'm in sex
so
ed
basically
class right now.
They're telling me that if I stimulate my uterus, my vagina will be more receptive to large things. Is that what it's trying to say?
Maybe. So okay, wait, they are surgical.
Oh.
They are surgical stainless steel, so at least they're not made out of cheap metal. Top reviews. Wow, the reviews look actually pretty good. It's
What the fuck?
It's at a 4.4 out of 5. Okay,
Not bad.
So
not bad.
So this isn't a sex toy; it's more like a tool. That's what I'm gathering.
To help you with
surgical
sexes.
sphincter dilation. I only decided to write a review on this simply because I didn't see any for what I needed when purchasing, albeit it's not the most popular of topics. When you've had several hemorrhoid surgery and then told you must dilate your sphincter after you get over the shock.
That they're not using it for the intended purpose.
These are the same tools my doctor recommended.
What?
With all that being said, I saw a lot of reviews for vaginal dilation or sex toys and couldn't find any information on adult dilation. Even on Google, it was all for babies. So if you are told to dilate rectally, these will do the trick, starting from the smallest, working up to the largest.
So you're dilating your rectum, your sphincter.
You're warming up is what it is.
Yeah, and you're dilating your
tool.
vagina. I don't understand why we're referring to the uterus here. If we're dilating the vagina, I guess the ultimate path is to the uterus, but why can't we just call it a vaginal dilator? I don't know.
So
the title's throwing me off more than anything else.
So I guess that is why it is on Amazon, because it actually has a medical purpose to it. Because apparently it's for babies and for like home births. Am I getting this right?
So what I gathered from this review is I needed to stretch my butt out, but I couldn't because I couldn't find the right tools. These tools worked.
And you need to stretch out your vagina for when you have a baby.
Or before.
Which makes a little more sense with the uterus because baby uterus. Yeah.
That
logic.
makes sense.
Okay. Burger Champ, you take this back to where it came
Wait,
from.
I got this one review. I really like. I really like
just this
one.
one, no
Okay.
more. I don't want to think about this.
Very easy to clean, just boiling water, nice feel, and weight to them.
Okay. I guess dilating their vagina or sphincter wasn't that unpleasant. It had a nice feel and weight.
Yeah. This guy, Joe, says it's smooth and won't cause problems along with lube. So, good job, Joe.
Wow. Okay, whatever floats Joe's boat. And look at his picture. Isn't that what is that picture? I lost it.
Yeah, you went
he
to
has
my
like an anime
suggestions.
picture on his profile.
The problem is you're doing all of this on my fucking Amazon account. All of my suggestions are not going to be books anymore. It's going to be this weird shit. Oh, I can't. You hate me. You need to make your own damn Amazon account.
I'm good. So yeah, 1954.
We noticed you clicked on this. I think you'd like this, a sphincter dilation device.
AKA a butt plug.
Up to 30 centimeters.
Oh, God.
All right. So whenever you're ready, Wise.
Oh yeah, for the story. Okay, so it's funny when I saw that, I was like, oh, sex toys. It reminded me of my younger, more formidable years when I was here in Nashville for about a week. About like a month or two, and I was working at Home Depot, and my buddy was working at Hustler. So I don't know where y'all live, but Hustler has stores. You know, they have like retail stores. Yeah. And they sell retail clothing, and they sell DVDs, and they sell toys. And so my buddy said, hey, do you want a job? I was like, yeah, I hate Home Depot. I'll take anything. I hate this job. And so I ended up working at Hustler for about a year and a half. And you know what's great is like, it was one of the funnest jobs I ever worked. Like, just because like everyone there was my age. We were all in our, early 20s, late, 20s, early 30s. Like even the manager of the store was like 32. And so like, and they would have events, and, it was just, and I met one of my best friends, Kara. She was working in the receiving department there. And so she was actually one of my groomsmen and for my wedding. And it was just like, when I first got there, my manager was like, hey, my name is, I can't remember. Oh, God, I can't remember his name. It's like, hey, are you gay? I was like, no, I'm not that I have a problem. It's like, good, because I'm gay, and you better not have a problem with it. And he was like intimidating the hell out of me, but he was like, I'm totally fucking with you, bro. He's like, no, but seriously, I'm gay. And it's like, it was that kind of atmosphere. Like everyone was just having so much fun, and like the hours were kind of crazy, but like, because we'd have to work until like 2 a.m. sometimes.
Right.
The clientele was very interesting. Because when you're working at a porn shop, like you're thinking that most of the clientele are just gonna be really creepy dudes that are coming in. And to be fair, there were quite a few that would come in, and we'd have to watch them and make sure they didn't use the bathroom for nefarious reasons. Which, but that store was super clean. It ran a lot like an Abercrombie and Fitch, not Abercrombie and Fitch, but like a Gap. Like a Gap store. It ran like that, but you're selling sex and sex toys. And I remember my first week there, a friend of mine who's still a good friend to this day, Miranda, she actually, last time I checked, she actually is like a VP of a sex toy company.
Oh God.
And so, but I remember her walking me through the toy wall and, explaining to me, she was like the master of these toys. She knew exactly what every toy did. She was like a scientist when it came to this stuff. She's like, this is, this item is really expensive, but don't buy it. It's cheap. This one over here is like the most sold toy that I worked there was something called the Rabbit. And yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Made from Doc Johnson. Doc Johnson was the company that made it, and that was the most sold toy to my recollection. But yeah, it's crazy to think about that. I worked there for a year and a half. That job actually saved my life, tell you the truth, because it was my 3rd month working there, and after 3 months you get benefits even for when part-time. And so when I was working part-time, I finally got benefits, and a week later my appendix went out on me. And so
Oh shit.
yeah. And so yeah, right after I signed on the dotted line about insurance and whatnot, and so yeah, I had to go to the hospital and everything like that. It was awful, but
Amazing timing though.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
right?
incredible.
It's pretty crazy. Otherwise, we're still paying for that damn surgery.
Exactly.
I'm still kind of hung up on the gap for sex for the
dude.
Gap
It was
porn
weird,
store.
man. It was weird because like most of the clientele that came in were just college kids. You know, they would just come in and giggle and you know, this is so funny. You know, like they've never seen anything before, and so it just like you just like sit there and you know and just kind of like let them have their fun, and then they'd leave. And you know, and a lot of times you would just like you'd have conversation with people who are actually looking for like, you know, sexual advice. And you just, you know, since you're in that sort of sphere and you know what all these toys do, you're sort of like a sexual counselor for like some of these people. It's really weird. But yeah, that was
Wow.
that was a weird time.
That's
in my
interesting. No, but I could just imagine, like, you know, in Gap, how you see like all the mannequins dressed up with the
Mhm.
clothes and on display, like
They
what's
have
hot and
mannequins.
whatnot.
They have mannequins that are dressed up. Yeah.
With lingerie.
It's like
Yeah,
bent
seriously.
over with like something
Mhm.
like halfway inside them.
Think about OBT. Think about all the dirty stores on OBT and those mannequins that are in the window with like pasties and shit.
Oh, like what are they called? Like club dance wear or something.
So there's many unique names on that strip. That's where all the hookers are.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
time of day you can drive down OBT and you'll see at least 5.
Like 9 in the morning, and you
Yeah.
see somebody with half their ass out, just
Yep.
like standing in the corner waiting.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
a lot
G-string.
a lot of the clientele that came into were because that store is on a particular street that has a lot of strip clubs, or some strip clubs or dance clubs or whatever. And so we would get a lot of dancers come in and get, you know, shoes and clothing and stuff like that.
Fun
Just-
times.
See, I just find it so interesting that there are dedicated stores to sell shoes for stripping. It's like you can't just go to Walmart or like DSW or something and buy stripper shoes. No, you have to go to a specified store that also happens to have a wall full of dildos.
Yeah, exactly.
And blow up dolls to inspire your ensemble.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to, you know, you have to explain the difference between water-based lube and oil-based lube and what's better for, you know, anal versus vaginal, you know, that kind of stuff.
You can use the uterine sphincter, whatever
I'm sure
tool
that's
things
I'm sure that's in there.
in one of the glass cases. What's this? Oh, you can expand your
So do you have
vaginal
hemorrhoids?
opening. Oh my God, I can't. I
All right,
can't.
let's go ahead and get into some discussion time.
Okay, discussion. I like it.
I guess I'm starting this segment. So we're going to start with an email that we received a million years ago.
Wait. Before
Wait.
that, what are we discussing?
We're discussing Star Wars because it's Star Wars.
What
month.
about Star Wars?
Oh, I don't remember. I've been in a brain fog for the last 48 hours. What are we doing?
It's the Star Wars movies.
Okay. Not Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is all I can think about right now.
Is that show out yet?
Yes, the first 2 episodes.
Oh wow. All right.
Yes, go watch it.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
I thought it was very good. Okay, am I reading my email now?
Yes, the email. Who's the email from?
From Will.
Okay.
What?
No, just
Okay. Good evening. I'm so happy that y'all did an episode on Star Wars. KOTOR is one of my favorite games of all time as well, and I agree that it's in the running for one of the best games RPGs ever made. Side note, isn't it funny that Berger and Matt opposed on so many gaming issues both believe that KOTOR and
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild suck. Star Wars is very special to me because it stands with Dragon Ball as essentially my first fandoms. I actually think Star Wars predates Dragon Ball for me since my mom got us Star Wars learning games before I was old enough to appreciate movies. This actually led to a funny situation. All of the games were episode 1 themed, so all I knew of the universe at that point were Gungans, battle droids, and Darth Maul. Gungans of all things. When I was around 5 or 6, my brother and I were constantly begging my mom to let us watch the movies. Menace had already come out, but she had the VHS tapes of the original trilogy. I was too young to remember a lot of the details, but I do recall being very confused about who Vader was and where Maul was at. I also remember being scared of the Emperor. Who isn't? This started a lifelong love of the franchise that probably peaked with the release of episode 3 because I was like 10, the perfect age to be getting a new movie. Since then, I've loved a lot of the other media, but at some point, I'll always come back to watch the new Star Wars show or read a book. I think it's interesting that thousands of books will sell about side characters whose fates we already know, which would normally be a turnoff because the world is just that interesting to people. Very few franchises can boast of this, and fewer still do it as well and as poorly as Star Wars. As for KOTOR, I agree with your opinions on the characters. Jolie is hilarious, especially if you really max out his dialogue opportunities. Bastila?
Bastila.
Bastila is annoying, but hey, if you go light side, you get to romance her in the end. My favorite, of course, is HK-47. I do all my dark side runs with HK and Canderous.
Yes.
And just let them riff. Terrace definitely introduces too many new characters. Zalbar ends up being relevant, but Mission and the Windows 98 R2D2 could have been excised with little problem. It makes me wonder if the game's your text didn't involve the main character becoming a Jedi. KOTOR really opened up the galaxy in ways most Star Wars media just have not. The world building is incredibly rich. Worlds like Korriban, Onderon, and Malachor have been recanonized by Filoni for a reason after all. The reason is that he loves KOTOR. It was also one of my first real RPG experiences, and it's definitely the first that I beat. I am greatly looking forward to replaying this game for the 40th time during the remake. Given how successful it was, I am genuinely surprised that more Star Wars RPGs haven't been attempted, but I guess MMOs suck the life out of the franchises. Just look at ES and FF after their MMOs.
Elder Scrolls and Final Fantasy.
Okay, I was about to say, I don't know what the fuck that is. In closing, I hope you play KOTOR 2 at some point, as I'm glad you got to experience the original. Karradyne, I have a lot better Star Wars book recs for you next time y'all do one of these. Thank you. Chris, I'm interested in your hot takes. What are the 3 best Star Wars movies if you can't pick Hope and Empire? Which single movie is the worst? And who's your favorite character across all media? Will.
Okay. All right. So I only, when I read the email, I only read what's the best 3 Star Wars movies. Thank you. Before we continue, thank you for the email.
Yes, that was a very well thought out, detailed email.
Okay.
With all of the abbreviations that I do not know.
Okay, so let me just answer these questions, then I'll pass them on to you two. So best 3 Star Wars movies for me are Rogue One.
Duh.
Rogue One, Episode 3, and Episode 7.
Which ones are they?
So Episode 3 is Revenge of the Sith, the one where Anakin goes bad. And Episode 7 is the first one with Rey and Finn and Poe and all that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'm such a good Star Wars fan.
The worst movie is Episode 8 because it's 2 hours where nothing happens.
Except gambling.
Except for gambling and riding horses and a kid pushing a broom with the Force.
Yes.
And definitely my favorite character has to be Starkiller. One, it's Sam Witwer, and I love him on everything he does. And 2, it's a Jedi power fueled power fantasy. Like, what's how can it get better? You can murder tons of stormtroopers and Jedi. It's so good. It's so freaking good. Now, what about you, Weiss? What are your favorite 3 Star Wars movies? And you can't pick Hope or Empire.
I can't pick Hope or Empire.
Yeah, so episode 4 and 5.
Yeah. God, man, like I don't consider myself the biggest Star Wars fan, and then this is I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but I think what happened with me is like I watched the movies way later in life, and so those movies didn't touch me like they did like my dad or someone else who would watch that movie like as a kid. So they don't like the movies themselves don't hit that, you know, with me. I watch them and am entertained. Like the newer movies, like I watched them and I was entertained. So I didn't get like super upset or super loved it or anything like that. I was just like, yeah, these are good movies, whatever. And then I moved on. But anyway, as far as like my favorites, I'd I really enjoyed the third of the prequel trilogy.
So yeah, so Revenge of the Sith, episode 3. Yeah.
Dang it. No. Yeah. Okay. So I can't say episode 3, or is that
No. You can't say episode 4 and 5.
Okay. So episode 3, like I really enjoyed, just like how everything finally came together, you know. And a lot of people hate on the prequels a little bit, but I really enjoyed 3, just because even though like, God bless America, freaking what's his name, the actor who plays Anakin, I was just like,
Hayden Christensen.
Can we find someone else? Like, I know he doesn't have a career anymore because he's been memed to death about his performance as Anakin, and I feel bad for him for that. And I've seen him in other movies, and he's pretty good. He's a pretty good actor, but for some reason, he was just not right for that role, and he's been scoured for years for it. So I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I still enjoyed the last battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like, I just like it finally came to a head there. And there's some funny moments in there where I actually laughed in the theater when I was watching it. I remember Obi-Wan's like this, I have the high ground, something like that. He goes, don't throw your life away. I will kill you. Something, he says it exactly like that. And just like, you could say it like a little bit more intense, Obi. Come on, man. It's like, I will kill you.
Wow.
But
I've seen that so many times and it's never clicked until now.
yeah, I mean, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Like, I don't know. But yeah, but like I really didn't get too much into the movies. I got more into the games. But I appreciate what Star Wars did as far as a narrative telling device, which is what Star Wars is different in the sci-fi world because it does a fantastic job and probably the best job at merging not only sci-fi but also medieval fantasy as well, and samurai, and like those kind of those kind of points and stuff from all of those different kinds of films. And you watch other sci-fi stuff and it's like super sci-fi stuff, you know, like lasers and spaceships, and Star Wars has all that, but it also has these like fantasy elements that, you know, not a lot of at least at the time, not a lot of sci-fi movies had. And so I think that's what made, you know, Star Wars so special as far as like the world building, you know, because it didn't tell like a sci-fi, it told like a medieval fantasy.
That's true. Yeah, I had never seen it that way. Okay, so do you have 2 other movies that you like from the
I honestly couldn't tell you. It's just been so long since I've watched any Star Wars movies, you know, like, and I'll say this, I liked God bless the first of the Abrams films with the New Hope. A New Hope, is that what it is? No,
it's we watched it. Not
no.
Oh,
the Force Awakens.
Yeah, the Force Awakens.
I enjoyed it, and people like, you
know, it's not bad.
It's not bad, and I enjoyed it because, you know, when you look at it, like J.J. Abrams had a uphill battle, like, because Star Wars is one of those things where if you don't knock it out of the park, you will get, your career is in risk of being destroyed for the rest of your life. Like, just no one's going to watch your video or movies because you screwed up Star Wars, one of the most beloved franchises, if not the most beloved franchise ever. And if you screwed up anything about it, then, you know, and of course some people hate it, some people love it, but like, or some people, when it first came out, people really loved it. I really remember just like people really absolutely loving that movie. But as time has gone on and the more sequels and the story is kind of fleshed out, then everyone's like picking it all apart and stuff like that, especially when they brought Luke in. And I've heard, you know, I've heard some back and forth about like how they treated Luke's character and like how he wasn't, you know, what one of the arguments that I've kind of agree with when I now looking back on it was, you know, what they did with Han Solo is he's essentially the same character, but he's like 50, he's like 57, 58 or whatever. And he has like really no evolution. Just, he's like the same guy that he was when he was 20. But Luke, on the other hand, he's a completely different character. And so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And a lot of people compared it to like Terminator 2, and why Terminator 2 is so successful is that it evolved these characters but still kept them within what their character would do. It made sense for the character themselves in their evolution. Like Sarah Connor, like, you know, Sarah Connor in the first movie was just like, she, God, it's been so long since I've watched it, but from my understanding, from my recollection, it was she was, you know, scared and trying to figure out what's going on and running around and all that stuff. But in the second movie, she's learned from that. And now she becomes like a friggin' badass in the second movie, just to the point where she's in an insane asylum, you know? And so like, but it made sense for the evolution of that character and the actual Terminator itself and like where this story is going. And I feel like, a lot of people didn't see that same evolution in the newer movies.
Yeah. No, there definitely wasn't much of an evolution, especially with Han's character, because he literally says himself, once Ben went bad, I just went back to doing what I do best, which is smuggling things. And there's like no...
Yeah, he hasn't matured at all. It's like he was still frozen in whatever the fuck that stuff was.
Carbonite.
That thing. He's been in carbonite the whole time.
All right, so since you played a lot of the games, Wise, who's your favorite character across?
Dude, when you said Star Killer, it's like, dude, Star Killer is such a badass. Like, and what a great name, by the way. Like, I don't know if that was Lucas or something, because I don't think I can't remember if he was like, if Star Killer, that story was a book before it became a game. I can't remember if that's the case or if the game came out and then they made a book after that. I'm not sure, but whoever made that freaking character is awesome. Like, see,
I'm not sure if it was the book or game first.
I can't remember,
but both do exist. Both the game and the book do exist.
He tried to make me read it.
What a great little story for Star Wars to talk about, like Vader's apprentice, you know, and the evolution of an apprentice who goes from dark to light. You know, because he grows up with Vader, and so he learns the ways of the dark side immediately, as opposed to Luke, who learns, you know, the light side first, and he gets to he sees the dark side with his father and whatnot. But you get to see a storyline where this kid grew up in darkness, and he starts to see the error of his ways, and it's a story told over and over and again, but it's told really well.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. Dude, there are a couple of things that I find kind of funny about that story. The first one is that it's basically him going to the light side because of the power of love, and the other one is that he starts the rebellion, basically. Yeah, and the logo comes from a table that they saw on Kashyyyk, and it pissed fans off for some reason. I just find that so funny. I think that's one of the best things about that story of The Force Unleashed.
I think too, and maybe it's just because I'm not in the Star Wars. I wouldn't call myself a part of the Star Wars community really, even though I have played a lot of the games, at least the ones that are more adventure and RPG like. Star Wars has become so big that, it kind of sucks that you're bringing in, a larger group of people. And so a lot of those people aren't as passionate as the like hardcore Star Wars fans is. But, that's just an evolution of a great franchise. That's just what happens. It's happened with Final Fantasy. It's happened with Star Wars. It's happened with Star Trek. It's happened with all of these things that become so big that eventually it's just going to start just different paths and different universes. Like just what X-Men went through. Like how many universes of X-Men are there? How many universes of DC Comics are there? There's millions.
Too many.
There's too many to count. Yeah. And so I when people get hung up on the nitty gritty details of all these little things, and I mean, it's fun to have these arguments, of course, and as long as it isn't fun, but when it starts to turn into the dark side and you start leaving like horrible comments on people's pages and stuff like that, I think it goes too far. It's like,
when it starts getting sweaty and mean, no. So Karradyne, what about you? What are your favorite 3 Star Wars movies?
I'm gonna cheat. The Mandalorian. Because The Mandalorian is my favorite thing ever. That's honestly the only thing that's keeping me in this fandom. I'm obsessed with Grogu. If Grogu had not existed, I don't think my love ever would have been solidified. I would have just been a casual, let's go see the new Star Wars movie because there's nothing else to go see. I've just never really gotten hooked. I gotta be honest. But Rogue One is amazing. It's so fucking good. I cried like a baby watching that movie.
Such a good
so beautiful.
Movie. It's so good.
And Mads Mikkelsen is so beautiful. And then shit. I don't know. I guess I have to go with the majority and say, what did you say the third prequel is?
Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Wait, which one is the one with Grievous? Is that
one.
2? It is that one?
Yeah.
It's hello there. Okay, yeah, that one. That one. No, because I saw these movies. My dad took us to see them when they came out in theaters, so I was only like, shit, did they come out every year like Lord of the Rings did? Because I know the first one came out like around the same time the Fellowship did. Did they come out like 01, 02, 03? Like
I feel like they
followed the same pattern.
I feel like it was sort of like that.
See, I think the one that came out the latest must have been in 2005, because I think I was in high school. I was in 10th grade when it came out. Let me see.
Shit, was I in high school?
Episode 3 release. So it was May 19th, 2005. Yeah, because I was 15. So I remember watching it with George and us being bored out of our fucking skulls until the lightsabers came out.
Well, like up till that point, I had never seen any other Star Wars movies other than the prequels, so I still had no fucking clue that Anakin was Darth Vader. I had no idea. I was just baffled at the end of that movie, and we left, and my dad's like, "You understand what happened, right?" And I'm like, "No, I really don't. Like, I need a history lesson now," because I still didn't understand the whole concept of prequels, and it's like, but why is that his kid? And these movies were made 30 years ago. What's happening? I was so confused. Yeah.
I find that so funny.
It's not.
See, when episode 1 came out, I was 9 years old, and I remember looking at the poster, and you can see Anakin walking in the shadow of Vader next to on the building where he's walking next to. And I look at the poster and I point at it. I was like, "Look, Mom, that's Vader's shadow." And she looks at it. She's like, "Oh, you're right." I'm like, I got something. I'm smart.
Yeah, I didn't.
No. So at 9 years old, I understood the concept of
I was gifted, but I wasn't really gifted.
No.
You
were gifted by South Georgia standards?
Yeah, that's pretty low. I was just a step above hayseed.
What is hayseed?
like a hillbilly, an uneducated farm child.
Oh boy. Yeah. That
I knew what a
education.
prequel was, but it really just upset my mind knowing that it was made after.
I don't
I
think a
don't
lot of
know.
prequels were made at that time. They didn't really mess around with like stories that were before, the main successful franchise. Like, I
Mhm.
just I don't think it really happened very often, and so I think that's one other reason why they were so people wanted them, because at that time, like, there hadn't been a Star Wars anything in like
Right.
20 years, besides like a few video games here and there, which were awesome for us, but the outside world was still wanting more Star Wars movies. And so finally they're coming out with these prequels, and they get shit on a lot, because they're so different than the original trilogy that came out. But I think that I obviously was on purpose, because he didn't want to tell the same story, because it was essentially different time
Exactly. It was a
before.
different
Because
world.
yeah, because 4, 5, and 6, or 3, 4, no, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 were the rebellion, and then
Mhm.
we need to know the politics, because a rebellion doesn't happen without some political strife. So he has to tell
Right.
that story. He has to tell the story of Anakin, how he grew up, and that things too. So like, it's really boring stuff, but it's really necessary to tell the story for 4, 5, and 6. you know
It's info dump.
See, it's weird because when they came out and I watched them, because I watched episode 1 with my mom, and then my dad had a buddy that worked in the movie theater when episode 2 came out, so he managed to get us tickets to the premiere. So we went to see the premiere of episode 2, and then I saw episode 3 at my buddy's house because his mom bought it pirated from some dude that at the school she worked at, and I remember being bored until the lightsabers came out
I
on all
know.
3 movies. And now watching them as an adult, and like he's seeing the politics and all the little bullshit that happens to make it so that Palpatine can end up in power, and him putting these bullshit ass ideas in Anakin's head to help him turn into the dark side. I find that interesting now.
Yeah, because like, that's adult shit. Because
Yeah.
that's things that adults deal with, mentally on a daily basis, so we can relate to that more. And the problem is that he, at that, it was a new age. It was the early 2000s, and a bunch of other, kids our age were getting into Star Wars, not because of the movies per se, mostly from the movies, of course, but like, some of us came from playing SNES games. We didn't ever watch the
Mm-hmm.
movies, but we loved the games, and so we came into Star Wars that way. And so now that new Star Wars games are coming out, or just new Star Wars movies are coming out, then we want to see what the hubbub is, and so we go watch those movies, and we're like, where are the lightsabers? And no one's told us that Star Wars is more than lasers and lightsabers and the Force. Luke, the Force. It's about philosophy. It's about like politics and ideology, and the dangers of going too far into one ideology, and not being able to come back to the other side, or to be in the middle with balance and yin and yang, and all this kind of other like philosophical things that Star Wars is really great at doing, but it's not exactly exciting for a 15-year-old kid who's hopped up on hormones and just wants to see fights.
Yeah. See, and the funny thing is that you mentioned that, and in the movies, you don't get to see a lot of the balance thing and all of the intricacies of Star Wars like you do in the games and the books. Like
Right.
all the interesting shit of Star Wars, it's in the games and the books, not particularly in the movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's what's so great about Knights of the Old Republic, because it was a brand new story, and you get to experience the Star Wars ethos without having to deal with anything else from the original trilogy. You get to experience what the Force is, and like what you can do with it besides like moving stuff. you know, with your mind. It's you know, it's the thing that connects all life. And then in KOTOR 2, man, like they go even further with the Force, as far as like what happens to, I'm not going to give too much spoilers away, but I'm going to give you a little treat here. It's like what happens when the Force is forcefully taken away from somebody. You know, like what happens to a Jedi if he doesn't like what happens, what wound is left, and what happens to a Jedi when they don't have that and it's forcefully removed from them. You know, so like, and then they go down that road. It gets a little convoluted here and there, but dude, it's great. It's so good, and I love that sort of stuff, and that's why Knights of the Old Republic needs to make a renaissance again.
Oh man, I can't wait to play part 2 just because of what I've heard and what I've seen. But you know, I find the thing I found, one of the things I found most interesting about KOTOR was the language stuff, the way that these species communicate. So basically, it's not in like Guardians of the Galaxy. In Guardians of the Galaxy, they have to put a chip in your head for you to understand every language that exists in the universe.
Right.
In Star Wars, you have to learn the language.
Yeah.
So your character knows all of these languages except for a few handful of languages, like the Mandalorian language that the little girl speaks that sneaks into your ship.
Yeah.
That one you have to figure out playing the game. But you get to learn that English is called Basic, and pretty much every single species in the universe understands Basic, but they just won't talk it or speak it out of hatred for where it came from. Like, it came from humans. We hate people. We're not going to make it easier for them to get what they want. And then the Wookiee language, it's really simple to understand. The thing is that they make it loud and scary to deter people from wanting to learn the language, so that they can be the only ones that learn it. And like I was playing again when I was learning all that stuff. I was like, wow, this is so fucking interesting. Why did Disney have to retcon all this shit?
I know, right? It's just so, oh man, it's like that kind of stuff. Star Wars as a franchise and as a story and as a world, like there's so much you can do with it. So it's painful that, you know, EA has only given us the Star Wars, the Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And you know, Fallen Order is a good game, don't get me wrong. I made a review about it. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It's a good game story wise. Cinematically, it looks great. The acting is fantastic. The story is good, interesting and compelling enough. But the combat is not. I don't like the combat in the least.
You're not a Souls fan?
I am not a Souls fan. Oh God, no, I can't do it.
Man.
I can't, because it's Souls combat's not fun. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. It's Souls combat is there to piss you off and make you learn these, you know, it makes you. All right, let me be objective here. I'm going to be objective before I start going a rant and piss a whole bunch of people off. I'm very particular. I'm a very particular type of gamer. When I sit down to play a game, I'm not playing a game to beat the game. That's not my goal. My goal is to experience the adventure and experience the story. I want to sit down and escape, and I want my brain to turn into mush. Okay, that is what I want to do. I don't want to sit down and have notes and write down and figure out what a lowly stormtrooper's movements are. You know what I want to do to that stormtrooper? I want to throw him against the freaking wall because he's a stormtrooper and I'm a Jedi, and I should not be you know, later parts of the game being knocked down by a freaking stormtrooper's baton. It's just story wise and adventure wise, that doesn't make sense to me. And so, but that's what Dark Souls combat is. The combat is like, you have to pay attention. You have to have, you got to have your wits about you. And you know what? Like a lot of people love that because Dark Souls, it's like, that's a big part of gaming for a lot of people is accomplishing something very difficult. Unfortunately, I'm not in that camp. So that when your combat is very strict, like it just pisses me off. Like I beat the game and it's fine. And like, again, I give the game like 8 out of 10 for me, but like I really wish the game more had like an Assassin's Creed type of combat system where it's similar to Dark Souls, but a little bit more accessible.
Like I would even like what's it called? The Arkham games combat style. That would be fun.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is a lot like that. Yeah,
it's like a variation of it.
Yeah, or Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima has a fantastic combat system.
That is such a good combat system
for a Star Wars kind of game because it's the same sort of deal. You're waiting to parry. You have projectiles. You have all sorts of stuff in Ghost of Tsushima, and maybe it's just like the combat for Fallen Order just felt like I was working at it. Like it felt like I wasn't having. I never could master it. And the fun part about those kind of combat systems, Assassin's Creed and Batman: Arkham Knight, there comes a time where you have mastered this system, and that mastery becomes the fun part because you just get to freaking I know exactly what to do here, and yeah. And I guess Dark Souls that it does that too, but a lot more difficult.
Did you play the game on story mode, or did you play it on normal? Or
I played it on story mode. I play games on story mode, easy mode. I don't care. I will. Again, difficulty is not my thing. Like if I can play the game and just enjoy the story, that's my way to go. Like another thing too is because I'm older now and I don't have a lot of time to play every game that's out there. So I'm not going to sit here and try to beat a boss for several weeks, because at some point I'm just like, I got to go to work. I got to play this other game that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, no, I get that. As far as I can remember, I've played most of the games on easy mode just because I want to go through the story and see everything that happens in the story. But there are some games where I just go for normal, sometimes even hard. One of those games is the Devil May Cry series. I absolutely love the combat system that Capcom does for those games and that Platinum does for this type of games. But it's because it feels so reactive and so fast paced. And if I play it on easy, I feel like I'm not being as cool as I can be with my character.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. Easy's all the way.
Yeah. And again, like people play video games for all different sorts of reasons. I'm just one person. That's the only reason why I play video games is I get to escape. That's my escape. And so I feel like the whole playing a game to, have the sense of accomplishment, that's not why I play video games. But a lot of people play games because they love that feeling of like, okay, this boss is really hard and I have to learn and get tactical, and you become a smarter human being by doing that. And people, they love that sense of completing something that's first thought impossible. Like you get that, yes, I did it. I never thought I could do it, but I finally did it. But I'm just not that guy with video games anyway.
Yeah. All right, so let's circle back to Star Wars. Okay, we got two more questions before we're done with the segment. Karradyne,
yes.
Since you're sick and you haven't talked a lot,
yes,
what is the thing you love about the movies the most?
The thing I love the most about the movies?
Yeah.
Oh shit. What is the thing I love the most? Maybe it's gonna sound really silly. I love seeing all the different species and the costumes. I remember one of my favorite things in the beginning was seeing all of Padme's costumes and her makeup. Oh my god, I was obsessed.
They had really
and then
good
Leia's
designs.
costumes, yeah, and her hairstyles. Oh man, yeah. As silly as that sounds, it's so fun to look at. Like it's very pretty. I love all the landscapes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. It's such a girly answer.
That's a big thing for me too. And one of my biggest complaints about the game Fallen Order, like you have a poncho.
And you have a poncho.
No.
That's it.
Poncho
That's
or
so
no
lame.
poncho.
Yeah, it is lame. And so like, in games like this, what's cool about fun, you get to like mess with, in normal games like this, you have like costumes that you could put on and stuff like that. And like, usually, but yeah, no, you have two outfits, that's 2 outfits for the whole game. And then you have like 18 different ponchos But guess what? It's all the
Why?
same poncho, but just different colors.
Yeah,
No.
the
Are they
best.
even fun colors?
Yeah, well, the best one is the pink and gray poncho. He kills stormtroopers and try to be
Oh my
stealthy
God,
and
with
Kashyyyk
a
with a
pink and gray
poncho.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's
But
awful.
I totally feel you on the style, because Star Wars has a style. Like you got the robes, you got the, you got the
Yes.
Padme, like you just said, like the princess and everything, and you got the dark side, and like what you can do with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it has a style for sure.
See, now that I think about it, the Force Unleashed, one of the things that I loved the most was every time I finished a stage and we would go to the other one, Starkiller would get a change of clothing. And I was like, okay, so I'm finishing this stage. I want to see what the clothes is going to look like in the next one. And then at the end of the game, the clothes that you get is like a mixture between a Jedi robe and some sort of Sith armor. It just looks so fucking
it's
cool.
so freaking cool, man. It, like I can't, I'm picturing, it's been so long since I played those games, but I'm picturing the tatted, like the tattered robes that he had, and it's just freaking just full of anger and just
and you see like all the lightsaber marks all over his arms, the burns,
dude,
and whatnot.
it was so cool. It was like a mix of like, when I was playing that game, it's like, this is kind of a mix of, and I might be totally wrong here, but it was like DBZ meets Star Wars, just like that fuel of energy. Like when I've never seen the Force quite like that, where you would have like balls of energy like flying out, like, and stuff like that. It's like, oh, this is cool.
Like just pulling a Star Destroyer out of fucking space and making it crash on the planet you're at. That shit was insane. It's like,
It's just like, and then you feel it too when you're doing that. You're just like, it's like, oh, brilliant. It was a brilliant game.
So good. All right, Wise. So what do you like about the movies?
What I like I said before, I think, Star Wars, I love that they successfully melded a sci-fi with the medieval fantasy genre, like in the samurai movies and stuff like that. And notably, Lucas was a big fan of samurai movies, like Seven Samurai and that Shonen. What's that movie? I can't remember. But like those old samurai movies, and like the idea of the Force being something that you could manipulate, like, and you could harness, but the Force is a part of every one of us, and that any one of us could be Jedis. Just some people have a more affinity for it, I really like that part of just the whole ethos of that. There's so much you can do with that, and that's evident by stories like the Force Unleashed in the games, and like and then Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2, where they really go for it as far as like messing with the Force and what the Force's capabilities are, and like that kind of stuff just is really cool. And the philosophy, talking about, like, I really enjoy just the whole idea between yin and yang and balance, and that any one of us can turn to the dark side. It's such a cliche thing now when people like, you're turning to the dark side, and they make it into a joke, but there's something really real about holding on to anger so much so that it turns you into a completely different human being. Like
so true.
That is a real thing, and we've seen it with friends. Like, we're old enough now that we've seen friends like get so bitter about something. I've seen it in the with friends who are in the music industry, where they've spent their entire lives trying to do something with this gift that they have, and they just can't do it because they're holding, like, the successes that they do have, they don't see it because they don't perceive it as a success, because they're so bitter that they expect themselves to be here. Like, I just need to be here because I've worked my ass off. And that's the dark side, because they're not experiencing life anymore. They're having this imaginary, unattainable goal that they keep trying to get to. They're completely neglecting the present, the place that there are now.
Right.
So like that's what's cool about Star Wars is that it takes that whole idea and just makes it a fantasy, you know, and it turns it into a fantasy sort of story.
Yeah, it also makes it digestible. Like,
Yes.
you can see it very cut and clear, and just presents it in a way that you can somewhat apply it to stuff you see in everyday life.
True. Absolutely true.
The thing I like the most about Star Wars is just the space fights. I think they're so fucking cool.
I knew you were gonna say something about lightsabers and fighting and pew pew. And
I mean,
TIE fighters.
Lightsaber fights are great. I mean, let's just, we can't deny.
Whatever you say about the last 3 movies, you can't deny that all the space fights are fucking insane. They're so great. They're so fucking good. I just want a Star Wars movie where it's just space fights. That's it.
I mean, you can't go wrong with space fights.
Yeah. So, Karradyne, where do you want to see the movies or the series go?
Away from the Skywalkers and more Grogu. I want a whole 8 movies, 9 movies, whatever the hell it was, about nothing but Grogu. I want to see the meme that I just saw come to life, where Grogu is in a little hospital gown texting Anakin, is like, I didn't die, bitch. And Anakin is just super angry. I just want to see Grogu live to be as old as Yoda. And
he'll probably outlive all of us.
He probably will. He is a beautiful little baby, and I just want to love him every day. I love him so much.
What about you, Wise?
Oh man, I want them to expand it a little bit more, you know, like I feel like with the last 3 movies, I feel like it was sort of like a return to form, especially with the first movie. The first movie was just, this is going to be, you know, this is going to be what we all loved about the original movies, but we're just going to do it in a modern way. And I felt like that was successful, you know, at least with the first movie. And then they kind of expanded it a little bit, and then they went, you know, here and there.
In a weird direction.
But, you know. But I think it's time to start moving on. Like you said, I think it's start moving on to different stories, but like maintain, you know, the same ethos that is Star Wars, keep it in the same sort of vein that we all love about the whole idea of Star Wars, but have fun with it. I feel like Rogue One, you know, like have fun with it. You know, just like tell a story, but just don't be afraid to piss people off. Because I think at this point you're just going to piss people off regardless if you try to or not.
Yeah, somebody's going to be mad.
Yeah, so that's where I want to see Star Wars go. I want to see Star Wars go in a direction that will piss the fans off. So make Starkiller canon, make the Rebellion logo coming from a table in Kashyyyk canon. Just make him the most powerful Jedi ever, have him beaten the crap out of Vader and the Emperor. Just make it all canon. People are going to be so pissed, and I'm going to be so happy about it.
I would absolutely love, 100% would absolutely love a Force Unleashed Netflix series.
Yeah.
That
would be amazing.
I think Sam Witwer's still young enough to pull it off. He is a little bit older now, but like I feel like, you know, with a little makeup and a little CGI, you know, take some of the wrinkles out, and I feel like they could still tell a really compelling, cool ass story of Darth Vader's apprentice.
See, he is this weekend is a Star Wars celebration or whatever it's called, and that's why there's been news about Star Wars everything coming out constantly.
Oh, the new shows and everything.
Yeah. And last night I was on Twitter and I saw Sam Witwer post something about Force Unleashed.
Ooh.
So I don't know what the hell is going on.
Back. That's the only reason why I played Days Gone, because he was.
Oh, definitely.
Because he was in Days Gone, and he nailed it. It was so good. He was so good in that game. I don't even play like horror games, but like I really enjoyed that game. That game was pretty fun.
See, that's the game where when we moved into this apartment, Granny was asking me, "Why are you killing that bear? What are you doing? Why are you shooting?"
Oh, you were playing that.
I was playing Days Gone, yeah.
I also just had another thought about this question. Something I mentioned, I think, in the last episode. I would like for them to explore some of these things that they've left as hangovers, not hangovers, cliffhangers. I'm hungover basically from all this cold. Cliffhangers that have just gone unexplored. So remember at the end of the Han Solo movie that wasn't that great, they alluded to Darth Maul, and then
That is supposedly explained in Rebels.
oh well,
somewhat.
shit! Don't tell me that. Is everything I'm gonna say explained in Rebels?
No, because there's a bunch of shit that hasn't been explained or done.
We gotta
yet.
sit down and fucking watch Rebels. And then the damn kid with the broom that we already talked about.
Yeah.
All these little Jedi children, we're just gonna leave them there at the gambling place. We're never gonna go back and talk about those poor children.
They're not Jedi children. They're force sensitive.
Whatever. I don't know things. That kid moved a broom with his mind. That's more than I can do.
It's Broom Kid.
Yeah.
Broom Kid. Yeah. So, Karradyne, if you were to rank Star Wars from
don't make me rank the damn movies in order. I can't
no,
do
not
that.
in order now. Like if you were to give it a score from 1 to 9, because there's 9 movies, what would you give the series as a whole?
Ew.
Ew.
This is hard. Oh shit. I'm only looking at the movies. I'm
Just the
not
movies,
looking at
nothing
the
else.
shows
No.
because I really think the shows are like so much better than
No,
the movies.
definitely they are.
Oh fuck. Maybe because I don't want to give the impression that I haven't enjoyed them. We all know by now like how obsessive I can get about things that I like, and I will just never get obsessive about this. I went with The Mandalorian, but not Star Wars. Maybe like a 7.5.
Okay. I can deal with that.
So still pretty good, but not perfect by any means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to go 8 out of 9 because episode 8 is just so bad.
You will always be mad about that
2
movie.
hours of nothing. It's just so much potential. What about you, Wise?
Oh man, I'd have to go around there as well. I think each movie kind of has it tells its own story enough to captivate somebody out there. So 8's a fair. I think 8 is a fair number, a more than fair number, especially if you make 9 movies about anything. You know, odds are half of them are going to be terrible.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think less than half are terrible.
see, it's like what 3 of the movies are 2 of the movies are bad, and 1 of them is
yeah,
and the rest are good.
I mean, if
pretty
you think
good.
about it, that's a pretty good shooting percentage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Oh man.
It's like when Final Fantasy fans get into arguments of what the best Final Fantasy is or whatever, and I'm sitting here thinking like, how many Final Fantasies are there? Like 15 now. There's 16
shit.
coming on. There's 16 Final Fantasies. One of them is going to suck. One of them, just like the law of averages here.
Okay, so for you, which one is the one that sucks?
Oh God, out of all, I haven't played all of them, so to be completely fair. The one I didn't particularly like I think it was 5. I never finished 5.
Okay.
Because like 5 is really different than a lot of the other ones. But because of that, people loved 5. And the same thing that goes with 12. 12 is very different because it was the first time that the original creator of Final Fantasy wasn't there, nor was Nobuo Uematsu, who was the longtime
music composer.
Composer. So they didn't have either of those for the first time ever, and so that was the first time they, did a Final Fantasy without those guys, and so, it's a very different. It's basically a Star Wars story, actually. Now that I think about it, because there's spaceships and there's a lot of similarities with A New Hope.
I've heard that before. I've never finished that game. I did play like the first maybe 5 or 6 hours before I had to return the game to Blockbuster, but I can see it being
Blockbuster.
The combat system is weird but fun. Like you get used to it, and then you start to like, wow, this is actually one of the best battle systems that they've ever created. And see,
to me that battle system kind of feels like a proto Xenoblade Chronicles combat system. Yeah,
kind of. It's sort of MMO kind of stuff. Like, but you're not playing an MMO. It's weird. It's fun. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people hated it. But whatever.
I mean, they're lost. I mean, there are people out there who like 10 and 10. Oh my God, I don't like 10.
See, I have hangups with 10, and people are upset with me when they're like, 10's my favorite game, and I'm like, dude, like, give me a different, like, a better main character. Tidus is terrible.
I hate the entire cast. Like, how can you make John DiMaggio racist? It's like, how? That's just awful. And the gameplay itself, like the combat and the sphere grid and everything, all that shit is awesome. But the story itself is like, just fucking shoot me.
I hated the ending of that game. I hated it so much. It's just like, so he wasn't alive the whole time. It's like,
basically,
it was all a dream. Like, has Dallas, the show Dallas, not taught us anything? Because that was the first time that ever happened, and it pissed people off so much that we actually still talk about it 40 years later.
Have you ever seen Dallas?
I have seen it in pop culture reference.
You've never watched an
I've never
episode of
watched
Dallas?
it, no.
Oh man, you're missing out.
There's that one episode of Family Guy where it ends with the lady waking up and going to the bathroom, and what's his name? It's not Patrick Warburton, the dad from Step by Step.
Yeah,
that's showering.
Yeah, whatever his name. Yeah, he's one of the characters.
He's like, "Oh, hi, honey," and she's like, "I had the worst dream about Family Guy." And at the end, he's like, "What's Family Guy?"
I don't think you would like Dallas.
Probably
no,
not.
But the crazy, it's like, that's such a crazy thing to think about. Like, back in the day, that there was so, like, a main character dies, and I imagine it was like the first time that fan reaction was so palpable for the first time, and actually changed the studio's mind about where the show is going to go. And so they had to think on their feet for the next, like, season. They're like, we got to bring him back. What do we do? It was a dream. Perfect.
We fucked up.
So this has been a ton of fun. It has been great. Wise, it has been a pleasure having you on.
It was a pleasure being here. I really enjoyed this. It was a lot. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, no, anytime you want to be on, just let me know. We can make it happen.
I'll try not to be dying next time.
Yeah, hopefully, Karradyne.
I think you did swell.
Thank you. Thank you. I would normally talk a little bit more than what I did.
Yeah. Wise, at this time, we usually let our guests plug anything they want, where we will put your links on the show notes. I already talked about the TikTok, but just plug away anything you want.
Yes,
to plug
you
in
can
right
follow. You can follow my YouTube channel, youtube.com/WiseDrums, twitch.tv/WiseDrums, my TikTok, which is also WiseDrums. Yeah, so follow me there. That's where I do all my live streams every Monday at noon Central Time, where I just play over video game music and sometimes anime, and just celebrate the soundtracks that made us who we are, and just have a good time and hang out and jam. It's just fun. So just to follow me there.
You know, honestly, I've only managed to go into the live stream once. It's
totally fine. I don't expect anyone to show up. So the mere fact that I have like one person show up at noon on a Monday where everyone's at work, you know, but like, that's my only time to do that sort of thing. So like, it's my time to hang out with friends and practice. Really.
No, it's really a great time. You take requests from the people in chat. You have your rotation of songs that you have been practicing throughout the week to play.
Yeah.
So it's just a grand old time, especially if you love video game music and if you love people nerding out over video games and their music. It's just a grand old time.
Pretty much all of my catalog that I play are all requests in some way, shape, or form. The songs that I'm learning every week are requests from TikTok and various other forms like my Discord and whatnot. And then, you know, then I take chat requests live, and a lot of the times, 99% of the time I don't know the song, but that's what's fun. It remind, like, the live stream is so fun because, like, I've said this on many times on my podcast, but my live stream, during the stream, it's like you're hanging out with friends and sharing music with one another. Like back in the day when we would share CDs with one another. Oh, dude, have you heard this band? No, man, I haven't heard that band. Give me that band. Have you heard this? This is new Slipknot. Well, you know, it's just like you're just like hanging out with friends and just like, you know, enjoy. Like, I don't know, it's cool. It just reminds me of those old days.
Definitely I can see that with the CD sharing. Did you do CD sharing, Karradyne? Because I know you carried a big binder full of CDs.
Yeah, I had my like carrying case with pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of CDs. Did I share any of them? No. Did I give recommendations? Yes. I didn't trust anyone to not scratch up my CDs. I had to protect them with my life. I had to protect them from my little sister and her thieving fingers. No, I did not share with anyone. Never.
No, but dude, we all had those giant ass CD binders that were they were literally like 2 feet like wide.
Yes. My dad got so sick of seeing me carry it around that he bought me my first MP3 player and downloaded LimeWire on his computer. But like, here,
LimeWire. Oh my God.
I can't deal with the CD binder anymore.
Oh God, I remember LimeWire.
Really fun stuff on LimeWire. Yep, he was.
Yeah, we're
that computer out of viruses every week.
Yeah, we're old.
God.
We all use
LimeWire and Kazaa. I used Kazaa to download my stuff. I remember when that whole Napster thing went down.
Yes.
Like, oh man, I remember downloading songs. I remember downloading songs from Napster from at my friend's house who had a high speed computer at the time, and I was just like blown away that like any song I wanted at that moment, like I could have right then. Oh, it was yeah, it was good
so good. I saw a meme this past week, death of the iPod, and how kids these days will never understand like having 5 Death Cab for Cutie songs and they're all categorized as different artists because like the capitalization of Death Cab for Cutie is different and like it makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, the way it categorizes as a different artist every single time. I can't tell you how many different Nickelbacks and Avril Lavigne's I had on the damn iPod. So many. Like, where's How You Remind Me? Oh, it's the one with the capital B.
Well, with that, I guess that's sad. I guess that's it for this week's episode. There we go. Fuck. So yeah, just we don't do housekeeping, and I completely forgot to do it at the intro.
That's okay. Everybody does.
Yeah, so just follow us on social media, send us emails at anovelconsole everywhere. Just follow Wise at WiseDrums pretty much everywhere.
Pretty much, right? Yeah.
And we'll have his links in the episode notes and the descriptions and whatnot. And our art was done by Metamorphic A on Instagram. Just go give her a follow. She's great people. And Karradyne, do you want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Wise, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye to all of you. Have a wonderful month, week, however long it will be.
Goodbye, everyone.